Part 1. They all voted to enslave Earth. Now every species begs for mercy. The council chamber was massive, bigger than any stadium on Earth. Jake Morrison stood in the center of the floor, looking up at the alien creatures that surrounded him on all sides. There were 47 different species here today, and every single one of them was about to decide what would happen to humanity. Jake was the only human in the room. He wore his military uniform, standing straight and proud even though his hands were bound by holographic chains. These chains were just light, not real metal, but they represented something very real. Earth was on trial, and the verdict would determine if humanity remained free or became slaves. The voting began with the Velcrin, a race that looked like walking crystals. Their representative was tall and glowed with a soft blue light. The Velcrin voted first, and their decision appeared on the giant screen above the chamber. The word made Jake's stomach turn cold. Enslave. Next came the Thaxians, insect-like creatures with multiple arms and black eyes that never blinked. They voted the same way. Enslave. Then the Zentari, the Corvin, the Plexians. One after another, 47 species cast their votes. Every single vote was the same. Enslave. Jake watched the votes pile up. 47-0. Not a single species had voted to let humanity remain free. The aliens had their reasons, of course. They always did. Humans bred too fast. Humans were too aggressive. Humans asked too many questions. Humans refused to accept their place in the natural order of things. The High Magistrate stood up from his throne. His name was Vorthon, and he looked like a giant praying mantis 10 feet tall with green armor-like skin. His voice echoed through the chamber when he spoke. The Galactic Council has reached its decision. The species known as humanity will be reclassified as a servant race. Your planet Earth will be stripped of all autonomous rights. Your people will be distributed throughout the galaxy according to their abilities. The strong will work in mines and construction. The intelligent will serve in technical facilities. Enough will remain on Earth to maintain breeding populations for future generations. Jake felt anger burning in his chest, but he kept his face calm. Around him, many of the aliens were making sounds that seemed like laughter. They thought this was funny. They thought humans were weak and helpless. Vorthon looked down at Jake with his alien eyes. You have 1 lunar cycle to prepare your people. We will return with processing ships to begin the transfer. Do you understand, Commander Morrison? Jake looked up at the High Magistrate. Then he looked around at all 47 species that had voted to enslave his people. He smiled, and it was not a friendly smile. Several aliens stopped their laughing and shifted uncomfortably. I understand perfectly, Jake said quietly. You just made the biggest mistake any of you will ever make. More laughter filled the chamber, louder this time. The aliens thought Jake was making empty threats. They thought humans had no power, no weapons, no way to fight back. They had no idea how wrong they were. Vorthon waved his hand dismissively. Take him back to his ship. Let him tell his people about their new purpose in the galaxy. Guards came forward and led Jake out of the chamber. As he walked through the long corridors of the council station, he could hear the aliens still laughing and celebrating. They were already discussing how they would divide up humanity's resources and labor. Jake was taken to his small shuttle and released. The moment the guards left, he activated the encrypted communication system. A green light blinked on, indicating the message was transmitting through channels the aliens didn't know existed. Protocol defiance, Jake said into the recorder. They voted for enslavement. All 47 species, unanimous decision. Begin final preparations. I'll be home in 3 days. He ended the transmission and sat back in his seat. The shuttle's engines powered up and Jake began the long journey back to Earth. As the council station grew smaller behind him, Jake allowed himself a real smile. The aliens thought they had won. They thought humanity was helpless. They were about to learn the truth. For 5 years, ever since first contact with the Galactic Council, humanity had been preparing for this exact scenario. While Jake and other diplomats talked and negotiated with the aliens, Earth's governments had been working together on something else. They had been studying every piece of alien technology they could get their hands on. They had been reverse engineering, improving, and preparing for the worst. The worst had just happened. Jake thought about all the work happening back home right now. Hidden bases scattered across Earth and throughout the solar system. Weapons that the aliens didn't know existed. Ships that had never been detected. Soldiers training for a war the galaxy thought impossible. The Galactic Council believed humanity was primitive and weak. They based this on what they could see. Earth's public technology, the ships that visited the Council, the weapons that diplomats carried. All of it was carefully controlled to make humanity look harmless. But beneath the surface, humanity had been busy. Human scientists had taken Velcrin crystal technology and made it better. Human engineers had studied Thaxian quantum drives and built improved versions. Human strategists had analyzed every Council species, looking for weaknesses and blind spots. Jake remembered a conversation he had with General Bennett before this trip. The general had been clear about the situation. "If they vote for enslavement, we show them what humans really are," Bennett had said. "We've been playing nice, playing weak, letting them underestimate us. The moment they try to put chains on Earth, those chains become weapons in our hands." Now that moment had come. Jake's shuttle flew through space, moving faster than light using technology the Council had shared years ago. They had been so confident, so sure of their superiority. They had given Earth access to advanced technology, thinking humans were too primitive to truly understand. That had been their first mistake. Their second mistake was voting to enslave humanity. Jake looked at the stars rushing past his shuttle. Somewhere out there, General Bennett was receiving his message. Somewhere on Earth, soldiers were preparing for battle. Somewhere in hidden shipyards, warships were powering up their engines. Somewhere in secret laboratories, scientists were activating weapons the galaxy had never seen. The Council had 1 month before they returned with their processing fleet. They expected to find a helpless planet ready to be enslaved. Instead, they were going to find out why you should never corner the most stubborn, most adaptable, most dangerous species in the galaxy. Jake's smile grew wider. "Come and get us," he whispered to the empty shuttle. "We're ready." They all voted to enslave Earth. Now every species begs for mercy deep beneath the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. Alarms were sounding. Lieutenant Amy Parker ran through the concrete corridors as fast as she could, her boots echoing against the hard floor. She burst through the heavy steel door into the command center, breathing hard. "General Bennett, sir," she said between breaths. "Commander Morrison's signal just came through. It's happening. They voted for enslavement." General Roy Bennett was a big man with gray hair and a face that rarely showed emotion. Right now his expression was grim but not surprised. He had been expecting this news. They all had been. "Activate Protocol Defiance," Bennett ordered. "Send the message to all stations, all bases, everyone. It's time." Around the command center, dozens of people began working at their computers and communication stations. This room had been built 5 years ago, right after humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council. Everything had been planned for this moment. Dr. Helen Scott walked up to stand beside the general. She was Earth's leading scientist in alien technology, a woman who had spent 5 years studying every piece of advanced equipment the Council had shared with humanity. Her fingers moved across a holographic display, bringing up images of locations all over Earth and beyond. "All sites are reporting ready status," Helen said. "We have 317 hidden installations across the planet, another 82 in orbit around Earth, 41 on the Moon, and 23 scattered throughout the asteroid belt." Bennett nodded. "And the fleet?" "The fleet is ready," Helen confirmed. 300 ships, all fully armed and crewed. They've been waiting in hidden positions for 3 years. The Council has no idea they exist. This was humanity's greatest secret. While the Galactic Council thought Earth was primitive and weak, humanity had been building an armada. The ships were hidden behind advanced cloaking technology, reverse-engineered from Thaxian designs and improved by human ingenuity. Some were on the far side of the Moon. Others were inside hollowed-out asteroids. A few were even hidden in Earth's orbit, invisible to alien sensors. Colonel Lisa Hayes was coordinating with military forces around the world. Her voice was calm and professional as she spoke into her headset. "European defense grid is online. Asian installations confirm ready status. African and South American sites are synchronized. Australian base reports all systems green." Every nation on Earth had put aside their differences for this project. When the threat of alien enslavement became real, humanity had united in a way never seen before. Countries that had been enemies were now working together, sharing resources and technology, all focused on one goal: survive. Captain Ryan Foster was in his own command center, far above Earth on the dark side of the Moon. His ship, the Phoenix, was the flagship of humanity's hidden fleet. It was massive, nearly a kilometer long, bristling with weapons that combined alien technology with human innovation. Ryan stood on the bridge, looking at the view screen that showed Earth in the distance. His crew of 2,000 people worked at their stations, preparing for battle. They had trained for years for this moment. Now it was real. All weapon systems are online, his tactical officer reported. Shields at full power. Engines ready. We can move on your command, Captain. Ryan nodded. Keep us hidden for now. Wait for the general signal. When those council ships arrive, they're going to get the surprise of their lives. Back in the Colorado Command Center, Bennett was reviewing the complete battle plan with his senior staff. Maps and diagrams floated in the air, showing the entire solar system and the positions of every human asset. The Council will bring a processing fleet, Bennett explained. Based on our intelligence, we estimate 400 ships. That's their standard force for enslaving a new species. They'll have massive cargo vessels to transport people, military escorts to handle any resistance, and command ships for their leadership. 400 against our 300, Lisa said. They have the numbers. But we have the advantage, Helen interrupted. They're not expecting a fight. Their ships are designed for intimidation and cargo transport, not for real combat. Our ships are pure warships built for one purpose, fighting. Amy brought up another display. The quantum disruptor network is ready. Once we activate it, no ship in the solar system will be able to use faster-than-light travel. They'll be trapped here with us. This was another piece of technology that humanity had reverse-engineered and improved. The Velcrin used quantum disruptors as research tools. Humans had turned them into weapons. Once activated, the network would create a field around the entire solar system, making it impossible for any ship to escape. The Council would bring their fleet thinking they could enslave Earth and leave whenever they wanted. Instead, they would find themselves trapped in a system full of angry humans with advanced weapons. What about civilian casualties? Someone asked. Bennett's face became even more serious. That's why we've been evacuating people from major cities for the past 3 days. Official reason is a global emergency drill. Real reason is getting people away from potential combat zones. We can't guarantee the Council won't attack civilian targets if they get desperate. Helen pulled up population maps showing billions of people being moved to safer locations. The evacuation is 70% complete. By the time the Council fleet arrives, most civilians will be in hardened shelters or moved to rural areas. The command center buzzed with activity as the hours passed. Messages came in from around the world and from hidden bases throughout the solar system. Every military unit, every ship, every weapon system was reporting ready. Jake Morrison's shuttle was still 3 days away from Earth, but his message had set everything in motion. The trap was being prepared, and the Galactic Council had no idea what was waiting for them. On his ship far from Earth, Captain Ryan Foster gathered his senior officers for a final briefing. We've trained for this, he told them. We've prepared for this. Now we're going to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity. We're not going to start this fight, but we're definitely going to finish it. His officers nodded. They were ready. The entire fleet was ready. Dr. Helen Scott was making final adjustments to Earth's defensive systems when a young technician approached her nervously. Doctor, I have a question, the technician said. What if we're wrong? What if the Council is too powerful? What if we can't win? Helen stopped her work and looked at the young man. Then we fight anyway, she said simply. Humans don't surrender. We don't accept chains. If we go down fighting, and we make sure the galaxy remembers Earth. But we're not going to lose. Want to know why? The technician nodded. Because they're coming here expecting sheep and they're going to find wolves, Helen said with a fierce smile. We've taken their technology and made it better. We've studied their tactics and found the weaknesses. We've prepared while they celebrated. They think they've already won. That's their biggest mistake. General Bennett received the final reports and looked at the countdown timer on the main screen. 28 days until the Council fleet arrived. 28 days for final preparations. Send a message to all personnel, Bennett ordered. Tell them we're ready. Tell them humanity will not bow. Tell them when the Council comes, we'll teach them a lesson they'll never forget. The message went out across Earth and to every hidden base and ship. Billions of humans received the same words. Stand ready. Stand together. Stand free. The countdown had begun. They all voted to enslave Earth. Now every species begs for mercy. The Galactic Council's processing fleet appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system exactly 28 days after their vote. 400 ships emerged from faster-than-light travel, their hulls gleaming in the distant light of the sun. They moved slowly and confidently toward the inner planets, expecting no resistance. On the bridge of his flagship, High Magistrate Vorthun reviewed the data about Earth one more time. The planet showed no signs of military activity. Their sensors detected normal civilian communications, standard orbital traffic, nothing unusual. Everything looked peaceful and unprepared. The humans are making this easy for us, Vorthun said to his second-in-command, a Velcrin named Crystalex. They've even gathered their populations in their cities. We can process millions at a time. Crystalex's crystalline body pulsed with satisfaction. Our initial projections show we can complete the enslavement in 6 months. A very efficient operation. The fleet crossed Neptune's orbit, then Uranus, moving steadily toward Earth. They were in no hurry. Why would they be? The humans had no weapons that could threaten them. At least that's what they believed. Everything changed when they reached Saturn's orbit. Space itself seemed to shimmer and distort. Alarms started blaring on every council ship simultaneously. Navigation officers shouted in confusion as their faster-than-light drive suddenly went offline. What's happening? Vorthun demanded. The quantum field is destabilizing, a technician reported, his voice panicked. We can't engage FTL travel. Something is blocking it across the entire solar system. Before Vorthun could respond, 300 human warships appeared from nowhere. They had been hidden behind cloaking fields, waiting in perfect ambush positions throughout the system. Behind the moon, inside asteroid fields, in orbit around Mars, they revealed themselves all at once. The Phoenix led them, its weapons already powered and targeting systems locked onto council ships. Captain Ryan Foster sat in his command chair, calm despite the adrenaline pumping through his veins. This was it, everything they had trained for. Everything they had prepared for. He opened a communication channel that broadcast to every council ship. High Magistrate Vorthun, this is Captain Ryan Foster of the Earth Defense Fleet. You came here to enslave humanity. That was a mistake. Allow me to show you exactly how big of a mistake it was. Ryan made a cutting motion with his hand. All ships fire at will. The battle began with a massive volley from the human fleet. Missiles streaked through space, incorporating Thaxian technology that the aliens had foolishly shared. But these weren't just copies of alien weapons. Human engineers had studied them, understood them, and improved them. The missiles were faster, more maneuverable, and carried more powerful warheads than anything the Council had seen before. Kinetic railguns opened fire next. These were purely human weapons, simple in concept but devastating in practice. They fired solid metal slugs at incredible speeds. The Council's energy shields, designed to stop laser and plasma weapons, did almost nothing against solid projectiles moving at a fraction of the speed of light. The Council fleet was caught completely by surprise. Their ships were built for cargo and intimidation, not for fighting an enemy that knew their weaknesses. Shields failed. Hulls ruptured. Ships that had been built to last centuries were torn apart in seconds. Lieutenant Amy Parker coordinated Earth's orbital defense platforms. These massive weapons had been built secretly over the past 5 years, hidden among what looked like commercial satellites. Now they revealed their true purpose. Sector 7, target the cargo vessels. Sector 12, focus on their command ship. Let's make them understand they're not in control here, Amy ordered. The platforms opened fire. Energy beams and missiles launched from dozens of positions around Earth, creating a web of destruction that the Council fleet flew straight into. Vorthun watched in horror as his fleet fell apart around him. Ships were exploding. Others were trying to flee but had nowhere to go. The quantum disruptor field kept them trapped in the solar system. They couldn't escape to faster-than-light travel. "Return fire," Vorthun screamed. "Destroy them." The Council ships tried to fight back. Their weapons were powerful, designed to obliterate resistance from primitive species. But the human ships moved with precision and purpose. They dodged, weaved, and used defensive systems that shouldn't exist. Every weak point in Council technology had been identified and exploited. Colonel Lisa Hayes managed the ground-based weapons on Earth. "Lunar mass drivers are firing," she reported to General Bennett. "Impact on Council vessels in 30 seconds. The mass drivers were another human innovation. Massive electromagnetic catapults built on the moon. They could launch heavy projectiles at incredible speeds. The Council ships detected them too late to avoid them. Solid metal slugs weighing several tons slammed into ship after ship. On the Phoenix, Ryan Foster watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. The battle was going exactly as planned. Target their flagship. Let's see how Vorthun likes being on the receiving end. The Phoenix's main cannon charged up. This weapon used Velcrin crystal technology at its core, but human engineers had enhanced it beyond anything the Velcrin had imagined. A beam of pure energy lanced across space and struck Vorthun's flagship dead center. The shields held for exactly 2 seconds before failing. The beam carved through the ship's armor like it was paper. Vorthun's ship shuddered and alarms blared everywhere. "We're losing power," someone shouted. "Hull breaches on multiple decks. We can't sustain another hit like that." "Retreat," Vorthun ordered desperately. "All ships, retreat!" But there was nowhere to retreat to. The quantum disruptor field kept them trapped. They could move around within the solar system, but they couldn't leave. And everywhere they tried to go, human ships were waiting. Some council ships tried to surrender. They broadcast emergency signals and powered down their weapons. Human ships accepted these surrenders, taking control of the vessels and moving them to secure positions. Other council ships tried to fight to the last, and the human fleet obliged them. Those ships were systematically destroyed. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Council's processing fleet no longer existed as a fighting force. Half the ships had been destroyed completely. The other half had either surrendered or were too damaged to be a threat. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Phoenix next to Captain Foster. He had arrived back at Earth just in time to see the battle's conclusion. Now he opened a communication channel to Vorthun's crippled flagship. The High Magistrate appeared on the view screen, his insect-like face showing what might have been shock or fear. Behind him, his ship's bridge was a mess of sparking equipment and injured crew members. "I told you," Jake said calmly. "I told you in the council chamber that you were making the biggest mistake in galactic history. You didn't listen. You laughed at me." "Who's laughing now?" Vorthun said nothing. What could he say? His fleet was destroyed. His plan had failed. The species he came to enslave had defeated him completely. "Here's what happens next," Jake continued. "Your surviving ships will be taken into custody. Your crews will be treated well. Better than you planned to treat us. We're not monsters like you, but you're not leaving this system until we decide what to do with you." Jake ended the communication and turned to Ryan. "Good work, Captain. How are our casualties?" "Light," Ryan reported. "We lost 3 ships, 47 personnel killed, another 112 wounded. Considering what we faced, we got off easy." Jake nodded sadly. Every death hurt, but it could have been so much worse. If the Council had caught Earth unprepared, billions would have died or been enslaved. General Bennett's voice came through from Earth. "Commander Morrison, we need to send a message to the galaxy. They need to know what happened here." "Already prepared, sir," Jake replied. "Dr. Scott has compiled footage of the Council's vote and the battle. Every species in the galaxy is about to find out what happens when you try to enslave humanity." The message went out on every frequency, through every communication relay humanity could access. The galaxy was about to learn a very important lesson. Earth was not helpless. Humanity was not weak. And anyone who tried to put chains on them would face the consequences. In his damaged ship, surrounded by the wreckage of his fleet, Vorthun realized something terrifying. Humanity had been holding back during the battle. He had seen the weapons they used, the precision of their attacks. They could have destroyed every council ship completely. They could have killed everyone, but they hadn't. They had offered surrender. They had shown mercy. That scared Vorthun more than the weapons did. A species that fought this well and still showed restraint was more dangerous than any enemy the galaxy had ever known. They all voted to enslave Earth. Now every species begs for mercy. The message spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On every civilized world, on space stations and colonies, in government chambers and civilian homes, people watched the transmission that Earth had sent. It showed everything. The council vote where 47 species unanimously decided to enslave humanity. The processing fleet arriving at Earth. The battle that followed. The complete destruction of that fleet in just 6 hours. The galaxy watched and understood. Humanity was not what they had thought. On the Velcrin homeworld of Crystal Prime, emergency sessions were called immediately. The Velcrin Council Chamber, a massive structure made entirely of living crystal, buzzed with agitated energy. Crystalline beings flickered with worry and fear. "We must analyze what happened," the chief scientist said, projecting holographic data for everyone to see. "The humans didn't just copy our technology. They improved it. Look at these quantum disruptors. Their design is 30% more efficient than ours. They reverse-engineered our work and made it better in just 5 years." An elder Velcrin, his crystal body dimmed with age, spoke quietly. "We gave them our technology thinking they were too primitive to truly understand it. We were wrong. Humans don't just learn. They innovate. They adapt. They exceed." "But they're so young," another Velcrin protested. "Their civilization is barely out of its infancy. How can they be this dangerous?" "Perhaps that's exactly why," the elder replied. "We've been comfortable for millions of years. We've forgotten what it means to struggle, to fight for survival. Humans still remember. That makes them dangerous." On the Thaxian collective world, similar conversations were happening. The insect-like Thaxians gathered in their hive complexes, sharing information through chemical signals and electronic communication. A military commander addressed the central collective. "Our quantum drives were considered unbreakable. Human ships now use better versions of our own technology. Our tactical databases show they predicted every move our fleet made. They knew our strategies better than we did. How is this possible?" the collective demanded. "They studied us," the commander explained. "While we were debating whether to enslave them, they were analyzing every piece of information they could access. Every ship that visited their system, every communication, every piece of shared technology. They learned from it all." A senior Thaxian scientist added her analysis. "But it's more than just learning. Humans think differently than we do. They don't accept limitations. When they encounter a problem, they don't just try to solve it. They look for ways to turn it into an advantage. We saw this in the battle. They used our own tactical approaches against us, modified and improved. Across the galaxy, species that had voted to enslave Earth were now facing a terrifying reality. They had awakened something they didn't understand, something that didn't play by the rules they expected. The Zentari Empire called an emergency meeting of their High Council. The Zentari were reptilian beings, covered in scales that changed color with their emotions. Right now, most of them were showing shades of gray and black, colors of fear and concern. "We need to consider our options," the Emperor said. "The human fleet is still in their solar system. They haven't attacked any of our worlds. Yet. But the question is, will they?" His chief military advisor, a scarred old warrior, spoke bluntly. "Would we if we were in their position? 47 species voted to enslave them. Every single one of us agreed to destroy their civilization. If I were them, I would be planning revenge right now. But they showed mercy in the battle," someone pointed out. "They accepted surrenders. They didn't massacre the Council fleet when they could have." "That's what scares me most," the Emperor admitted. "A species that fights that effectively and still shows restraint is more terrifying than a purely aggressive one. It means they think strategically. It means they have control. It means they're smarter than we gave them credit for." A Zentari scientist brought up new data. "I've been analyzing human psychology from the information we have. There's a pattern here. When you try to enslave a human, you don't break their will. You forge it into a weapon. Their history is full of examples. Empires that tried to conquer them, tyrants who tried to break them. None of them succeeded. The humans just became stronger. So what do? A council member asked. "We pray they're willing to talk," the Emperor said quietly, "and we prepare for the possibility that they're not." The emergency council session happened 3 days after the battle. This time it was held remotely, with no one willing to travel to the council station. The 47 species appeared as holographic projections, gathering in a virtual chamber that looked like the real one. Vorthun, still recovering from his injuries, opened the session. His voice was much quieter than it had been when he'd announced humanity's enslavement. "We need to discuss the human situation," he began. "Our fleet is destroyed. Our people are prisoners, and Earth has made it clear they will not accept subjugation. We should respond with overwhelming force," a Thaxian military leader insisted. "Gather our full military might and crush them before they become a greater threat." "Have you learned nothing?" A Velcrin elder interrupted. "They destroyed our processing fleet in 6 hours. They've had 5 years to prepare. How much more have they built that we haven't seen? How many more weapons are hidden throughout their system?" A Zentari diplomat spoke up. "I've been analyzing the battle footage. The humans were holding back. Look at the precision of their attacks. They targeted specific systems on our ships, disabled rather than destroyed when possible. They could have killed everyone and left no survivors. They chose not to. Why would they show mercy? Someone asked. Because they're smarter than us, the Zentari replied. They know that genocide would unite the galaxy against them. But defeating us while showing restraint? That sends a different message. It says they can destroy us but choose not to. That's more frightening than pure aggression. The debate went on for hours. Some species wanted to fight. Others wanted to negotiate. A few suggested they should just leave Earth alone and pretend it didn't exist. But they all knew that wasn't possible anymore. Humanity had changed the balance of power in the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same. On Earth, Jake Morrison met with General Bennett and the other leaders. They watched the intercepted communications from the council meeting, seeing the fear and confusion in the alien voices. They're scared, Amy said, reading the analysis reports. Every species that voted against us is now reassessing their position. Some want to fight. Most want to negotiate. None of them know what to do. Good, Bennett said firmly. Fear leads to respect. Maybe now they'll think twice before voting to enslave another species. Dr. Helen Scott was less interested in the politics and more focused on the technology. We've been analyzing the captured council ships. Each one is a treasure of information. We're learning things that would have taken us decades to discover on our own. Within a year, we'll be so far ahead technologically that the council won't be able to threaten us even if they wanted to. But do we want to be their enemy forever? Jake asked. Earth isn't ready for a galaxy-wide war. We won this battle, but if all 47 species united against us, the numbers would be overwhelming. Then we need to change the conversation, Colonel Lisa suggested. We've shown them we can fight. Now we need to show them we can be reasonable. Give them a way to back down without losing too much face. Ryan Foster, who had been quiet during most of the meeting, spoke up. The key is making them see us as partners instead of threats. We have things they want. Innovation, new perspectives, fresh ideas. They've been stagnant for so long they've forgotten how to move forward. We can offer them something valuable. Bennett nodded slowly. So we offer an olive branch, but we keep our weapons ready. We negotiate from a position of strength. Show them that working with humanity is better than working against us. Will they accept that? Amy asked. They don't have much choice, Jake replied. We've proven we can defend ourselves. Now we prove we can be valuable allies. If they're smart, they'll take the offer. The message went out from Earth to all 47 species. It was simple and clear. Humanity wanted peace. They wanted partnership. They wanted to be treated as equals. But if anyone tried to enslave them again, the response would be the same. Swift, decisive, overwhelming. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Would the Council accept Earth's terms? Would they try to fight? Or would they find some other option that no one had thought of yet? One thing was certain. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. They all voted to enslave Earth. Now every species begs for mercy. 3 months after the battle, a single ship approached Earth. It was small, unarmed, and broadcasting peace signals on every frequency. The vessel contained representatives from all 47 council species, including High Magistrate Forthun. This time they came not as conquerors but as supplicants. The human orbital defenses tracked the ship carefully as it approached. Captain Ryan Foster's fleet remained on high alert, weapons ready but not powered up. They would give the aliens a chance to talk, but they were prepared for anything. The meeting was held on Unity Station, a new human construction built specifically for this purpose. The station orbited Earth, visible to everyone on the planet below. It was a symbol. Humanity conducting diplomacy on their own terms, in their own space, under their own rules. Jake Morrison led the human delegation. He was joined by General Bennett, Dr. Helen Scott, Captain Foster, and representatives from every major nation on Earth. They waited in the main conference room, a circular space with windows showing the blue planet below. The alien delegation arrived escorted by human security. Forthun walked at the front, his insect-like body moving stiffly. Behind him came representatives from the Velkrin, the Thaxians, the Zentari, and all the others who had voted to enslave humanity. They looked around the station nervously, clearly uncomfortable being on human territory. Jake stood as they entered. "Welcome to Unity Station," he said calmly. "Please sit. We have much to discuss." The aliens took their seats around the large conference table. Some of them couldn't sit in human chairs, so they stood or used equipment they had brought. An awkward silence filled the room as everyone assessed each other. Finally, Vorthen spoke. Commander Morrison, the Galactic Council wishes to renegotiate Earth's status in the galaxy. There's nothing to negotiate, Jake replied firmly. Earth's independence is not up for discussion. We will never accept subjugation or any form of control over our world. That's not negotiable, but we are willing to discuss what comes next. A Velcrin representative, her crystalline body pulsing with cautious colors, spoke up. We underestimated your species. That was our error. We saw your youth and mistook it for weakness. We saw your aggression and mistook it for primitiveness. We were wrong on both counts. You tried to enslave us, General Bennett said bluntly. 47 species voted unanimously to destroy our civilization and turn our people into property. Why should we trust anything any of you say now? The Zentari diplomat, his scales shifting to show shame, responded. Because we understand now. We're not here because we want to be. We're here because we have to be. You've shown us something the galaxy hasn't seen in millennia, and it terrifies us. What terrifies you? Dr. Helen asked, genuinely curious. Your potential, the Zentari explained. In 5 years, you went from first contact to defeating our fleet. You reverse-engineered our technology and improved it. You showed tactical brilliance that surprised all of us. And most frightening of all, you showed restraint when you could have sought revenge. That combination of power and control is something we don't know how to handle. Another alien, a Corvin with multiple tentacles, added nervously. Our analysis teams have been studying human history. You've had multiple periods of rapid advancement. When you're challenged, you don't just respond. You evolve. You adapt at a pace that seems impossible to us. Because you've become comfortable, Captain Foster said. You've had the same technology, the same strategies, the same ways of thinking for millions of years. You've forgotten what it means to struggle, to innovate out of necessity. Exactly, Athaxian agreed. We've been stagnant. Our civilizations are old and set in their ways. Humans are young and hungry. You question everything. You refuse to accept that something can't be done. That makes you dangerous, but it also makes you valuable. Jake leaned forward. So what are you proposing? Vorthun took a deep breath, his mandibles clicking nervously. We want to offer Earth full membership in the Galactic Council. Equal status with all other species. Full rights and protections. In exchange, we ask for partnership. Share your innovations with us. Help us remember how to grow and change. The human delegation exchanged glances. This was more than they had expected. Let me make sure I understand, Bennett said slowly. 3 months ago, you voted to enslave us. Now you want to make us equal partners? We don't have a choice, Vorthen admitted. Your fleet is more advanced than ours. Your technology is improving faster than ours. If we treat you as enemies, you'll become enemies. If we offer partnership, perhaps we all benefit. A Velcrin scientist added, Your Dr. Scott has published several papers on quantum mechanics that have challenged theories we've held for millions of years. She's not just right, she's opened up entire new fields of research. That's just one human scientist. Imagine what your entire species could contribute. Helen smiled slightly at the compliment but stayed professional. Science advances through new perspectives. You've been looking at the same problems the same ways for too long. We bring fresh eyes. But there's more to this than just technology, Amy said. She had been quiet until now, analyzing the aliens carefully. You're scared. Not just of our weapons. You're scared of what it means that we beat you so easily. You're worried that if humanity keeps advancing, we'll surpass you completely. The aliens shifted uncomfortably, but none of them denied it. You're right, the Zentari diplomat said quietly. In 1,000 years, maybe less, humans could be the dominant species in this galaxy, if you continue at your current pace. We can either work with you and share in that growth, or we can oppose you and be left behind. Those are our only options. Jake stood and walked to the window, looking down at Earth. His home, the planet that 47 species had tried to enslave. He thought about all the humans who had died in the battle. He thought about the years of preparation, the fear, the anger. He also thought about the future. A future where humanity could grow and explore without fear. A future where Earth was respected, not threatened. We need to discuss this privately, Jake said, turning back to the aliens. Wait here. We'll return with our answer. The human delegation moved to a secure side room. As soon as the door closed, Everyone started talking at once. We can't trust them, someone said, but we can't fight the entire galaxy forever. Another argued this could be a trap. A third worried. General Bennett raised his hand for silence. Let's think this through logically. They came here unarmed. They're offering full council membership. They're admitting their fear openly. What's the worst-case scenario? They're lying, Ryan said. They accept us as members, learn our weaknesses, then attack when we're vulnerable. Then we stay vigilant, Helen countered. We keep our fleet ready. We keep advancing our technology. We never let our guard down, but we also take advantage of the opportunity to learn from them, to access their resources and knowledge. Jake listened to everyone's opinions. Finally, he spoke. Here's what I think. They tried to enslave us and learned a hard lesson. Now they're scared, and scared people make deals they normally wouldn't. We can use that. We accept membership, but on our terms. We maintain our military independence. We share some technology, but not all of it. We prove that partnership with humanity is valuable, but we never show all our cards. Play the long game, Lisa said, nodding. Use this opportunity to strengthen our position while staying ready for betrayal. Exactly, Jake agreed. We're not naive. We know they might try something again someday. But right now, we have leverage. Let's use it to build something better. The vote among the human delegation was quick. Everyone agreed. They would accept council membership, but they would do it carefully, maintaining their strength while building new relationships. The humans returned to the main conference room. The aliens looked up anxiously as Jake took his seat. We've made our decision, Jake announced. Earth will accept membership in the Galactic Council, but with conditions. What conditions? Fortune asked nervously. First, Earth maintains complete military independence. We control our own defense forces. Second, we share technology on a case-by-case basis. You don't get access to everything just because we're members. Third, any species that threatens Earth or any human colony will face immediate consequences. And fourth, we want the Council to adopt new policies about enslavement. No species should face what we faced. The aliens looked at each other. These were strong conditions, demands that would normally never be accepted. But these were not normal circumstances. We agree, Fortune said simply. All of your conditions are acceptable. Just like that, everything changed. 3 months ago, Earth had been scheduled for enslavement. Now they were equal members of the Galactic Council, with protections and rights that had taken other species millions of years to earn. There's one more thing, Jake added. We want an apology. A public one. Every species that voted to enslave us needs to formally apologize to humanity. Not because we need it for healing, but because the galaxy needs to see it. They need to understand that what you tried to do was wrong. The aliens hesitated, but they knew Jake was right. Agreed, Fortune said quietly. We will make a public statement acknowledging our mistake and apologizing to Earth. The treaty was signed that day. They all voted to enslave Earth. Now every species begs for mercy 1 year after the treaty. Earth had transformed from an isolated planet into a hub of galactic activity. Ships from dozens of species came and went daily, bringing trade, information, and opportunities that humanity had never imagined. But Earth had also changed the galaxy in return. The Galactic Council chamber had been rebuilt to include a prominent seat for Earth's representative. Jake Morrison sat in that seat now, listening as various species presented their problems and disputes. The chamber looked the same as it had a year ago, but everything felt different. The aliens no longer looked at humans with contempt or amusement. They looked at them with respect and sometimes with fear. That fear wasn't entirely a bad thing. It kept everyone honest. The next issue concerns trade disputes between the Velcrin and Thaxian systems, the current council chairman announced. We've been unable to reach an agreement for 3 months. Perhaps our human colleagues have insights. This had become common. Species that had been solving problems the same ways for millions of years now turned to humanity for fresh perspectives. Sometimes the humans had good ideas. Sometimes they didn't. But they always thought differently, and that difference was valuable. Dr. Helen Scott stood to address the council. She had become Earth's chief scientific liaison, spending most of her time on council stations, sharing human research and learning from alien scientists. We've reviewed the trade dispute data, Helen began. Both sides are using economic models that are thousands of years old. Have you considered implementing dynamic pricing based on real-time supply and demand? It's a human economic concept that might resolve your disagreements. The Velcrin and Thaxian representatives looked at each other, their alien features showing confusion. "What is dynamic pricing?" the Velcrin asked. Helen explained the concept using holographic displays to show examples from Earth's history. Within an hour, both species agreed to try the human approach, another problem solved with a fresh perspective. After the council session ended, Jake met with Captain Ryan Foster, who had just returned from patrol duty. The human fleet had grown to 500 ships now, with more being built every month. They protected not just Earth but also the handful of human colonies that had been established on nearby worlds. "How are things in the outer systems?" Jake asked as they walked through Unity Station's corridors. "Quiet," Ryan reported. "We've had a few minor incidents with pirates, but nothing serious. Most species are giving human ships a wide berth. The reputation from the battle has spread. No one wants to test us." "Good. How's recruitment going?" "We have more volunteers than we can train," Ryan said with a slight smile. "Every kid on Earth grew up hearing about how we defended the planet. They all want to serve in the fleet now." They reached the observation deck where large windows showed Earth hanging in space like a blue jewel. Both men stood quietly for a moment, appreciating the view. "Do you think it'll last?" Ryan asked. "This peace? Honestly, I don't know," Jake admitted. "We've changed the balance of power in the galaxy. Some species appreciate it, others resent it. But we've proven that humanity can't be pushed around. That's something." On Earth, General Bennett was preparing to retire after 40 years of military service. He stood in the Colorado Command Center one last time, the same room where he had activated Protocol Defiance a year ago. Lieutenant Amy Parker, now promoted to captain, would be taking over his duties. She stood beside him, looking at the displays showing Earth's defensive networks, now 3 times larger than during the battle. "You've done well, Captain Parker," Bennett said. "Earth is safe because of people like you." "We all just did what was necessary," Amy replied. "But I have to ask, General, do you think we'll ever truly be safe? Will there always be threats?" Bennett considered the question carefully. "There will always be threats. That's the nature of the universe. But we've proven we can handle them. The key is never becoming complacent." The council became comfortable, and that made them weak. "We need to keep pushing, keep improving, keep staying sharp. Some people say we should focus on peace and not be so military-focused," Amy mentioned. "Those people are naive," Bennett said bluntly. "Peace is maintained by strength. The moment we show weakness, someone will try to exploit it. We can work toward a better galaxy while still maintaining our defenses. It's not one or the other." In her laboratory on Earth, Dr. Helen Scott was working with a team of human and alien scientists. They were developing new propulsion systems that combined technologies from multiple species. A Velcrin scientist named Prism worked beside her, their crystalline form pulsing with excitement. "This is remarkable," Prism said, examining the data. "You've taken our crystal matrix technology, combined it with Thaxian quantum principles, and added your own innovations. The result is 30% more efficient than anything either of our species created alone." "That's what partnership means," Helen replied. "We all have different strengths. When we work together, we achieve more than any of us could alone. But humans seem to have a special talent for innovation," Prism observed. "Why is that?" Helen thought about it. "Maybe it's because we're young. We haven't had time to become set in our ways. Or maybe it's because Earth is a difficult world. We've had to adapt constantly throughout our history. Harsh environments, climate changes, competition with other species. We learn to innovate or die." "So adversity made you stronger," Prism concluded. "Something like that," Helen agreed. "The Council tried to break us with adversity. Instead, they just made us more determined." On the Council's main station, Magistrate Vorthun was meeting with other alien leaders. He was no longer High Magistrate, having been demoted after the failed enslavement attempt, but he was still influential, and he had spent the past year studying humanity carefully. "They're changing everything," a Thaxian leader complained. "Human ideas are spreading throughout the galaxy. Some of our own people are starting to question traditional ways of doing things." "Is that a bad thing?" asked a Zentari diplomat, the same one who had negotiated with Earth a year ago. "Our civilizations have been stagnant for too long. Humans are shaking things up, making us think differently. But they're also unpredictable," the Thaxian argued. "We don't understand them fully. What if they decide to expand aggressively? What if they become a threat?" Vorthun spoke quietly. They already are a threat, but not the kind you're thinking of. They're not going to conquer the galaxy militarily. They're going to change it through ideas, through innovation, through showing everyone a different way of thinking. That's more powerful than any weapon. So what do? Someone asked. We adapt, Fortune said, just like they taught us. We learn from them, we grow, we change. The galaxy needed this. We were dying slowly, becoming irrelevant. Humans have reminded us how to live. Back on Unity Station, Jake received a private communication from Earth's government. He read the message and smiled. The decision had been made. Earth was ready for the next step. He called a special council session and waited for all the representatives to gather. When everyone was present, Jake stood to address them. Earth has an announcement, he began. For the past year, we've been members of the Galactic Council, learning from all of you while sharing our own knowledge. It's been a productive partnership. Now we're ready to contribute more. The aliens waited curiously. Earth is establishing the Innovation Initiative, Jake continued. It will be a joint program between humanity and any species that wants to participate. We'll work together on solving the galaxy's biggest problems. Faster travel, better medicine, cleaner energy, more efficient food production. Whatever challenges we face, we'll tackle them together. And what do you want in return? A suspicious Corbin asked. Nothing except participation, Jake replied. We share what we discover freely with all initiative members. But you have to contribute too. This isn't about Earth giving you solutions. It's about all of us working together to create them. The council chamber buzzed with conversation. Species that had been comfortable for millions of years were being challenged to think differently, to work harder, to innovate again. The Velcrin representative, Elder Crystal, pulsed with approval. The Velcrin accept this proposal. We will contribute our best scientists. The Thaxian Collective agrees, another voice added. One by one, species signed on to the initiative. Even those who had been most resistant to change saw the value in what humans were offering. After the session, as Jake prepared to return to Earth, the Zentari diplomat approached him one final time. You've accomplished something remarkable, the Zentari said. You turned an attempt at enslavement into an opportunity for growth. You changed the galaxy's direction. How does it feel? Jake looked out at the stars visible through the station windows. Honestly, it feels like we just got started. A year ago, we were fighting for survival. Today, we're partners with species from across the galaxy. But tomorrow, who knows what we'll achieve together? The galaxy tried to chain humanity, the Zentari said thoughtfully. Instead, you freed all of us from our own stagnation. Perhaps that's the real lesson here. Maybe, Jake agreed. Or maybe the lesson is simpler. Never underestimate someone just because they're young or different. We all have something to contribute.